And it is now time for real meds. And yes, we as a people could agree that we are happy indeed. Well, Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States of America, visited our little island called Jamaica. The President, who arrived on Wednesday evening, spent an entire day on Thursday meeting with our Prime Minister, CARICOM leaders, and also youth leaders. Don't forget the excitement it brought, memes after memes, and posts that make you laugh till you bawl. So tonight we will speak to some of those youth leaders who were in attendance at the town hall meeting at Youth Assembly Hall. We are joined by, let's start with the lady, our very own Huey Guild President-elect Davian Tucker, Jermaine Mackenzie, who is the communications focal point to the Global Fund Board, Jermaine Porter, who is the first Deputy Chair, National Youth Council of Jamaica, and Jerome Cohen, who is a youth leader. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening. Hi.
Good evening.
All right,
Good evening, youth leader.
Good to have you. All right, so we're starting with Jermaine. What was your reaction to the President's visit and the town hall meeting yesterday?
I believe that he connected with our young people and with the masses, and that is important in leadership. I believe that the few minutes spent inspired us as young people to go back and to do a greater task, a greater level of responsibility to our country, and that is to contribute to the empowerment and the development of our current and future generations. And I think that stands out for me, really.
All right. And Jerome, you were one of the two people mentioned in the President's speech. Tell us about that feeling, because a big for me now. It's not even like he's a Prime Minister. This is the President of the free world. Tell us about the feeling.
I mean, it was out of this world, basically. For me, I've always looked up to great leaders, Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, persons like those. So, you know, when you're sitting in an audience and, you know, the leader of the free world says, I like to make mention of Mr. Jerome Cohen, it's a humbling feeling, you know, already being there with so many other young persons. It was just amazing. Words cannot explain it.
And the good thing is that, you know, a lot of people who were there were very influential. So to be mentioned, you know, he mentioned Shelley and Fraser Price and both as well. So I could understand your feeling. I'm proud to see, even though I don't know you personally, when I saw you on the TV and you raised your hand, I felt as if I knew you. So big up yourself. For Jermaine, you got the chance to ask the President a question as well. So tell us what you asked and were you satisfied with his response?
Well, first of all, let me also echo that the feeling and experience of having met Barack Obama yesterday is I'm still awestruck. But even beyond that, it was so comforting to know that he became human, because despite his power as Jerome said, leader of the free world, he just came across as an individual, just another person wanting to share with young people in the country that he was visiting. I was very excited that I had the opportunity to pose a question to him. I asked him, as it relates to human rights, what he thought about decisions, or how does he make decisions in terms of allowing society to go through, you know, the natural process of change, or having government intervene to make these necessary social changes. I was very satisfied with his answer. He went around a little bit, some people thought, but I think it was very satisfying to hear that he considered culture as an important factor in that decision, and that each country also has its own values, but that it is also important for governments to come into play when the values don't always protect a segment or a minority or a vulnerable part of the general population. So I was comfortable with his response.
Okay. And Davian, of course, I have to give him a personal congratulations. I don't think I ever did. She is the Huey Guild President-elect, so you can look out for her on September morning. She'll be working effective. Probably no, but you're welcome. But Davian, you almost did not get to ask your question. You know, some people say you stood to be acknowledged, and some people say it was a misunderstanding. So can you tell us about that?
Right. It wasn't a misunderstanding. The thing is, what happened was I was there. I was sitting, and I thought, let me put up my hand. Put up my hand. This is the final chance. This is the final chance.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody behind me was nudging me and he was saying, "Dejan, stand up, stand up." And I was like, what if in my mind now I'm processing it? What if I stand up and he looked past me? That would be a thing.
Right.
But the truth is, the question I had was extremely relevant to Jamaica because for 20 years we've been seeing a steady decline in the standard of living, and we've been really sticking to the 4-year agreement for IMF. So it's now, what is President Obama, going to do for my people? Because we're all suffering, even if it is that some might be wealthier than others. It still affects me. It affects everybody. So I thought, stand up. Regardless of what happens, there are young people on Twitter, there are young people on social media that would love to be there, that have been asking this question and have not received an answer. And what better person to ask than the man himself who inherited the system? So therefore I stood up, and he said, "But hold on, she stood up, so I need to take her question. Something is serious here." So he actually responded in that regard. He said, "She stood up, so I have to take this young lady's question." However, the lady behind me who spoke before me stood up as well, thinking she was going to be acknowledged. So that's where the misunderstanding came in. So I stood up, and he took the question, and of course that question sparked a bigger conversation, right across Jamaica, and that in itself was the bigger picture. That question was to be asked.
It actually was for real, because I've been hearing about it all day long. I've heard a lot of the questions, and funny enough, I didn't hear yours. I think I left the television set when you were asking the question, but I heard that yours, and I don't remember the Rasta guy's name, but it was one of the most controversial.
Steppa asked about, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
But
so
man, it's a question that has been. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Continue.
So Jerome, were you comfortable with the range of questions? Because we heard Davian talk about IMF, step about marijuana. Some people inviting, some people asking for autographs. But on a serious note, were you comfortable with the range of questions as well as his answers?
I think they did a very good job in getting some of the brightest minds. A lot of persons who were supposed to be there, as the Guild president just said. But I think the questions were high caliber. We represented Jamaica and the region well. I thought this is one of the most intelligent men that I know. And we made him think, We asked riveting questions. Some of the time was too short to ask all the questions. But for me, I think trade should have been in it. That was the theme around my question. With everything that's happening as the region is looking towards trade, when you look into Latin America, when you see what they're doing, it's trade and foreign direct investment, and that's one of that's what helped Singapore, as you were talking about. How do we capitalize on the opportunities that are presenting themselves? No. So I think that was one of the only things that was left out. But the questions were high caliber.
Okay. And for Davian and Jermaine, before we go on the break, even though I could think of many interesting moments, there are probably things that we did not see on television. So would you like to share your highlights on the day, starting with Davian, then we'll go on to Jermaine?
Sure. My highlight was actually not the discourse by President Obama. His discourse was amazing, and it enthralled everybody and it inspired everybody. But what was my proudest moment was the fact that one of my counselors, Aubrey Stewart, someone who I've watched grow over time immensely and do so much for the area he's from, Montego Bay. Somebody this morning called him Mr. Montego Bay, was the person to introduce the President of the United States of America. That was my proudest moment, to see somebody who I sit in a council room with that really works hard and was well deserving of the opportunity, get the opportunity, and executed well. That was my proudest moment.
Most definitely.
And
here.
Jermaine?
Yes, my proudest moment is after the function have ended, we went to have, I would call it dinner. And a few attorneys said to me, I am inspired greater now to go and do some job. To do some work. I was demotivated because I believe the harder I work, it's like nothing is being changed. And so I am now inspired, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And I just want to add that it is rather sad that it took a Barack Obama to get the top leaders in the country to come together and to mobilize around one common consensus. And so as leaders in our different roles and responsibilities, let us see how best we can empower each individual, empower the community, the youth groups, and the different organizations to which we represent, because we have a serious matter of demotivation going on, where people just feel like no matter what they are doing, they are not doing enough, or they are not seeing the type of change that is needed. And so the protest moment was really after he would have presented, they left inspired to continue the process of nation development and empowerment. And that for me stands out.
Wise words from Germany. Here, people from Radio Land said that it shouldn't have taken the president to motivate us, but our leaders and even ourselves. Anybody would like to add their most proud moments before we go on the break? Jermaine?
I think the highlight for me was that Barack Obama chose to open the proceeding by speaking in the language of the people. For me, that was very, very powerful. I know quite a number of people in our population felt validated to some degree that he chose to speak in Jamaican, at least for the opening. And I think that for us should remind us that, our language, it's valid, it's good, it's respected across the world, and we should own it just a little bit more, even in formal spaces like that one last night.
Totally agree. Jerome?
Yes, sir. I mean, for me, it was just how, you sit and you watch something on the television and, it just feels extraordinary. But when it's happening live in front of me, it was a part of history. I think a lot of persons left really inspired, I know, from me personally. And I think that was just the entire thing coming together. And the conversations after, because when you inject some of these thoughts into people's mind, it doesn't just last for 2 hours. I'm sure me and Porter about 2 months down the road, they say, this is, our meet up, and any one of the other youth leaders will be discussing stuff like that. So, as you said, I just wanted to second it, is that more of these things need to happen, even if not on a national basis, just regionally. Get the young person's voice heard, more involved in what's happening, because we can. Yes, we can.
I just want to also add Yeah?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to add, I have to continue to remind myself that, listen, that's Obama, Barack Obama, President of the United States there, right in front of you, Germany. And ever so often I have to pinch myself that you are here live. That's Obama, And so out of thousands of young people, you were selected by USAID and the White House, because remember now, a detailed background check was done. And so no one in the room was there by coincidence. You were detailed and you were properly investigated and selected. And so thousands of young people would have wanted that opportunity. And so I am very much grateful that that opportunity was given to me. And so I have a greater responsibility now to spread that vision and to spread that motivation to the masses so that they can buy into a common agenda.
I would also like to add, Liz, that one of the biggest things for me, too, was the fact that President Obama kept reiterating transparency and accountability in every answer he gave. He kept charging us as a population, as young people, to hold our government, hold our nation leaders accountable. So when money is being spent, why is this being spent? When China comes and invests, what is the real deal? when President Obama is coming and roads are fixed, where is the money coming from? We didn't see this happening before. So I really love that he focused so heavily on accountability and transparency and charged us as young people to continue to empower each other. And when we don't feel empowered, seek empowerment to continue to speak up, as my other colleagues have just been saying.
I agree, and he also urged us to focus
really
on growth. I remember that point.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Liz.
No, you're about to make a point. Was it Jermaine?
Oh, it's Jermaine. I just wanted to add that it's so very important, and I hope that our leaders realize the importance of really keeping the citizens and young people just energized and inspired. That is so very much important in governance, and it's not always recognized here in Jamaica. Because I don't think Jamaica is in a horrible place. I'm very, very optimistic about where we are at. I think that we can get to a good place. But where we lack or where we need additional input from our leaders, it's just the extra push and the extra motivation, and to inspire us to hope in the plans that they have for us. Because maybe everybody is not everybody will clearly see the intention and the target and the goal behind maybe IMF agreements, etc. But when you have a leader who will come to the front and say, listen, this is going to be tough, but this is where we want the country to go. And we don't always have that. And even if we don't agree with the plan, if we had that support, that energy, that inspiration behind the vision that they have, that would make such a difference to people really standing behind our leaders, even in challenging situations and challenging times.
Cool.
Right, I agree. So we have Jermaine McKenzie, we have Jermaine Porter, we have Javian Tucker, who is the Guild President-elect, and Jerome Cohen. There are some bright, vibrant youth leaders, and they were at the Youth Assembly Hall yesterday for Obama's visit and his town hall meeting. But guess what, guys? Hold the line. If you use your laptop, don't move your cursor. And if you use your phone, do not multitask and log up on no other app. It is Real Mates, and the show is Youth Vibes on Top Jamaica Radio with Sue Forward.
That's what you want to do. Bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. Good love is too.
Sure Stitch Embroidery specializes in artwork, digitizing, embroidery, and screen printing on a wide variety of items to suit your needs. Visit us at 8 St. James Avenue, Kingston 5 off Maxfield Avenue. You can speak to the manager, Latoya Stewart, who will be more than happy to assist you. Opening hours are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Telephone 754-5345 or cell 320-7308. Email surestitch2009@yahoo.com.
For all your natural hair care, braiding, creaming, and more, it's got to be creative and unique hairstyles. Located at shop number 12, Village Plaza, Constant Spring Road. Call them today at 478-4979. Creative and unique hairstyles done by Tamara. Visit them today. You'll be glad you did.
Away from the internet? Well, in the United States and the United Kingdom, you can listen to Talk Jamaica Radio by phone, simply by dialing 605-562-4134 in the US and 033-0998-1133 in the UK to listen live. Tune in from any mobile phone at no extra cost. All calls use mobile minutes. Services available in the US and the UK, courtesy of Zeno Radio. What are you waiting for? Save the number in your phone now. Dial 605-562-4134 in the US and 033-0998-1133 in the UK and listen to Talk Jamaica Radio anywhere while on the go. Talk Jamaica Radio, uniquely Jamaican.
Welcome back to Youth Vibes, or as Obama would have said, Wagwan Jamaica. We are discussing the President's Town Hall meeting, and we have online youth leaders who attended the hall meeting. Yesterday, we have Jermaine McKenzie. He's the communications focal point to the Global Fund Board. Jermaine Porter, who is the first Deputy Chair National Youth Council of Jamaica. Jerome Cowant, who is a youth leader, and Davian Tucker Guild President-elect. So we'll continue with Jermaine. How do youth in Jamaica will benefit from this visit?
Well, in addition to the plans that Obama laid out in terms of the financial contributions to youth empowerment and youth education initiatives, I think the reopening or the signaling of a strengthening of U.S.-Jamaica relations is always important. I don't think in the immediate we'll see everything or the benefits right in our face, but I think it's a good start to strengthen U.S.-Jamaica relationships, and we will absolutely see good things out of it, I'm sure.
Right. And Mr. Porter, we're going on the entertainment road a bit. Chronix on his Facebook page made a comment about the president as it relates to Marcus Garvey and likened the president to a waste man. How did you respond
Lord
to
Jesus.
this element? Yes, please, tackle it.
I saw the comment. I was going to make a post on it, but I would rather see clarity as to what he meant. I don't believe in attacking people. I believe that people have a right. However, right comes with responsibility, and rights comes with consequences. And so I would love one for him to clarify as to what he meant by waste man exactly. And then after that, I would have advised him that, listen, as young people, we are looked up to by others, and so we need to be more responsible in our outbursts. However, I understand that you have a right to, but however, you need to be responsible. And so we don't want our leaders to go now and to attack this young man, but to say that, listen, especially his publicist or his manager need to say that, listen, you need to be more responsible and maybe an apology might be needed. But I found that the statement was rather unfortunate, and that if he could apologize or to explain or give clarity as to what he really meant, then it would be highly appreciated.
All right, you hear that, Chronix? Please do if you're listening, because the Jamaican people are not having it at all. So, Davian, it wasn't necessarily a UE event, but as the incoming guild president, how do you think UE will benefit from this visit?
Right, well, UE now has another unique selling point, so that's a big thing. You know, President Barack Obama visited the campus and was there for, you know, an extended period of time and engaged young people on that campus. So, on the campus, so, you know, it's a historic moment, another selling point, as well as the fact that now youthful discussion concerning national issues, regional issues, international issues have come up. I think the student population in itself is now more engaged in speaking up, which is exactly what Talk Up Jamaica is about. So I believe that now I think our youth are more inspired to be a part of global discussions, to be a part of institutional discussions even, and share their opinions and feel comfortable doing so, because guess what? President Barack Obama said that we should be doing that, and that's okay, you know? So aside from the unique selling point from a business perspective and just a historic perspective, the fact that young people are now empowered on campus to speak against certain things or about certain things, that in itself is probably the real benefit that we've come to have.
Good stuff. And Jermaine, was there anything that the president didn't touch on in particular that you would have liked? Because I remember somebody saying something about trade, but what is it that you'd have liked to have heard?
I'm not. I wouldn't say that there's something that I wanted him to have said that he didn't. To be fair, I think that he touched on a little bit on almost everything. He touched a little bit on trade, he touched a little bit on foreign policy, on and on very relevant issues. He talked about human rights as well. And even as Jamaica is looking towards decriminalizing, or we've done some bit of decriminalization or legalization to some degree of marijuana. He spoke to that as well, and he really did open for me my eyes in terms of the other side of what legalization means. Because, in my very liberal mind, I'm saying, yeah, man, free up the thing. But he pointed us to be also mindful that with this freedom, that there are persons who may not have our best interests at heart, big business, who will come and want to, make a monopoly of this thing. So he really did, for me, comfortably touch on a wide array of issues, and I was comfortable with his presentation. I think his initial preamble, I could have listened to him a little bit more, but I understood that he wanted to engage the young people, but I would have really liked to have, continue to sit at the feet of Barack Obama and hear of his wisdom and hear what he had to say.
All right. So Jerome and Jermaine, where you're going to answer in that order. If you were to, jump up like a Davian now and ask a question in about 30 seconds, what would have been your question?
Me go first?
Yeah,
well, for me, my question, one of the questions I had was, and it goes back to trade, and I'm very interested in that. Seeing that the Panama Canal is opening up, definitely the U.S. has shown interest in Jamaica strategically. What changes, if any, will we be seeing that will directly benefit our island? He touched on it in his preamble, saying that we're neighbors, we're important neighbors because of this and that and trade. But how is it, what policies, what changes? Because one of the things that we're seeing in the region now, every country is trying to capitalize on what's going to happen in the next 10, 15 years. Jamaica is, I think, doing a good job somewhat in that sense. But what are the policies and how have they shifted and how is the Jamaican region involved? So that would have been my question in 20 seconds.
Okay, Jermaine.
Okay. Jermaine. We have to understand, yes, that Jamaica was a trendsetter in the Caribbean, and I could go even further in the world, right? We have a serious problem as it relates to policy and policy development, one. So how can we train our young people in policy development and analysis that will aid in national development, and how can the U.S. and the Jamaican government partner with this? And another question I have was on the matter of turning youth clubs into businesses. That's where the National Youth Council wants to go, because you would be aware that we have a high youth unemployment problem. And so it cannot be that we have thousands of young people just going into a classroom or a community center and 90%, 95% of them are unemployed. So I wanted to ask a question as it relates to social entrepreneurship. How can the U.S. and the Jamaican government partner together in developing new and innovative products that is unique to us as a country? And how can we partner in research, policy, and training to improve on these unique products and skills that our Jamaican young people have?
And
Obama says he will visit in the near future, so hopefully it will be answered then. Davian?
Yes, if I may jump in and raise my hand for another question. There are two other things that I had to ask him. The first one was concerning education. We know that education is really the foundation of every great nation. And right now in Jamaica, we see at the tertiary level where it is very difficult to source funding to really carry through all 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years, right? What are the mechanisms or methods they have in the United States that is afforded to tertiary level students to offset costs or, beneficial in terms of funding their education? What mechanisms do they use there to do these kinds of things for tertiary level students, and how could that be applied to Jamaica? Right, that was the first question concerning education that I had to kick aside. And then the second question for me was a more personal one, which stated essentially that I kind of beat the odds in guild elections because the man is usually the one that is selected based on our patriarchal society. But the truth is, I beat the odds this time around. One, he beat the odds as the black president. What would his advice be to me now, who is under this kind of pressure, this kind of critical attention as a female? What is his advice, the greatest advice concerning the management of my council? Because that's a part of all government problem right now, mismanagement. So I wanted to get his greatest advice concerning managing people, especially on the scale that we, both of us, now have that experience of real critics on our back concerning our performance.
And funny enough, my next and final question to you, Davian, was going to be, as a young leader,
Yes.
what will you carry with you through life from Obama's presentation?
Right. The thing that resonated with me absolutely the most was the fact that President Obama, through his charisma and just the mere words he used and the fact that he jumps in and adds youth, Jamaican youth that are really doing things, so he played on names, he quoted statistics concerning Jamaica, he got very personal, he almost seemed Jamaican, because he knew so much about what's going on, so he was very aware. And that kind of charisma, putting all that together, trust me, that's not by chance, I want to, through life, be that have that kind of charisma that moves people, that gets people motivated, that gets people, charged to do things after I'm done talking to them. So even after, for example, this interview, if people listen and hear my voice and hear the guild president, it's like, all right, she really believes in a vision. She really wants it to work, and I believe I can help her to make it work. I can help her team, and in my own way, I can speak up. I'm going to bring that level of charisma with me, that level of that belief in transparency and accountability right through my entire leadership.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, guys, but thanks so much for joining us. It was a very interesting topic, and in a bright film in the camera anymore. So thank you for making it Youth Vibes on Talk Jamaica Radio, and big up on yourself and bless up in all the futures and in all the future endeavors.
Definitely. Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you. Take care.
And I'll see you around.
All right, thank you. So they were some of the youth leaders that went to the Obama town hall meeting yesterday. It was Jermaine McKenzie, who is the communications focal point for the Global Fund Board, Jermaine Porter, who is a part of the National Youth Council, youth leader Jerome Cowans, and incoming guild president Davian Tucker.